Live from News 7 KWWL, we've got you covered. This is Today in Iowa.
Right now on Today in Iowa, we have the latest on government spending negotiations ongoing in Washington. And another primary has come and gone. We take a look at the race to the White House ahead of Super Tuesday next week. And we explain why Cedar Rapids might move to block ATVs from city streets. Good morning, Iowa. I'm Ryan Witry. It is 5:01. Let's check in outside. Now, if you've not been outside since yesterday, you're going to be in for quite a surprise once you step out the door this morning. In some areas, it's, what would you say, Brandon, about 60 degrees cooler than it was yesterday, but luckily that's not really impacting travel too much. Brandon, I suppose you'd actually have more of the expertise on how much colder it is compared to 24 hours ago, but certainly a big drop nonetheless.
Well, Ryan, you're right on the dot that we are 60 degrees colder from our highs yesterday. We had a high of 67 in Waterloo at noon. Goodbye, camera. And now we've dropped all the way down to 7 degrees. We've just been steadily dropping after that cold front passed by. So 62 at 1 p.m. and then you went towards 7 p.m. already down to 28. Now, there was a time where our temperatures looked to be steadying out a little bit with the cloud cover overnight, right around 14, but then we lost the cloud cover, and now we're going back down 7 degrees as of the last observation, and that is one of the coldest spots in the viewing area, 7 in New Hampton as well. We do have 9 single digits in Cedar Rapids, Tama, and Oelwein. You have basically low to mid-teens everywhere else, so no matter where you are, it's cold. And it's also very windy. Wind gusts right now anywhere from 30 to 45 miles per hour. We should be getting some of these stronger wind gusts out of our system, and we'll see the winds gradually diminishing here as we go through the day. Still going to be windy, just not with the crazy gusts like what we've seen 45, 50 miles per hour overnight. Wind chills, double digits below zero, so it feels like the teens below right now. You do want to bundle up, grab all of that winter gear. We really haven't had conditions like this for this month. And there you see the cloud cover exiting, so no more snow out there. Did see a touch of it overnight, maybe partially covered roads in Allamakee and Winneshiek County. These impacts are very limited from the snow. Just use a little bit of caution. There could be some icy patches out there. But there you see the winds again gradually dying down, but still on the windy side. Wind chills should pull out of the sub-zero range, but only climbing to about the teens this afternoon, so very cold. But we have some much warmer air on the way. We'll talk about that coming up in your full forecast.
He does something for this country. He doesn't destroy it. That's why I voted for him.
There's just too much controversy around Trump, and I'm a Republican, and there's just too much noise. And I just want something a little simpler.
Michigan voters explained who they want to see on the presidential ballot this November. The results are in from the primary last night. Donald Trump won yet again. So far, Trump has won every single Republican primary and caucus this cycle. In a call to the Michigan GOP Election Night Watch Party, the former president said he was already looking ahead to the general election in November, saying he's ready to start campaigning in anticipation for a rematch with President Joe Biden.
November, I can tell you this, November 5th cannot come fast enough because our country's in serious trouble. We have the worst president in the history of our country, the most incompetent and the most corrupt president, and we can't let this continue.
Despite Trump's latest win, Nikki Haley is vowing to stay in the race, already campaigning for Super Tuesday next week.
All I'm asking is that you join me in this. And if you do, my promise to you is our best days are yet to come.
Now, Haley and Trump are looking ahead to next Tuesday, where 15 states will host their primaries. On the Democratic side, President Joe Biden did win in Michigan last night, but a significant number of people voted uncommitted. Over 100,000 people made the choice not to vote for the incumbent president. The move made by some Democrats in order to send a message to the president, pressuring him to call for a ceasefire in the Israel-Hamas war. Here's what Michigan voters had to say after casting their ballots.
We voted uncommitted today, again, to put that pressure on the current administration to call for a ceasefire so that we can see peace.
Well, if you go uncommitted, that gives Trump an easier chance to get in office, become the president, I think. That's what I think.
President Biden released a statement following the result of last night's primary, thanking voters while issuing a warning that Donald Trump could, quote, drag us even further into the past. Biden's statement made no mention of the organized movement to vote uncommitted. Lawmakers might have a solution to avoid a partial government shutdown on Friday. It's not the four spending bills negotiators are crafting. Instead, it's another stopgap measure, as Amy Kiley reports.
It's pretty safe to say we all agree we need to avoid a government shutdown.
That's why House Speaker Mike Johnson's office says he's now open to a continuing resolution. The plan has 2 stages. The 4 government agencies that could close after Friday would get another week of funding. They include the Departments of Transportation, Veterans Affairs, Agriculture, and Housing and Urban Development. The funding deadline for everything else would be March 22nd.
They've had months to do this stuff. I mean, my patience has run out.
Some lawmakers in Johnson's own party object to another stopgap measure. Others think it's better than repeated rushes to avoid shutdowns. Senator Rick Scott of Florida says he wants time to read and debate a full spending plan.
And the only way out of this is a CR through the end of the year and then start the budget process for next year.
After a meeting with President Joe Biden yesterday, top congressional leaders say they're getting closer to a long-term budget. It consists of 4 spending bills. This is the first day the House hypothetically could vote on that legislation since representatives are back from a recess. But negotiators aren't ready to release the final text.
This will go down in history as the least productive, the absolute least productive Congress in the history of the United States of America.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
The Department of Education announced updates to FAFSA forms. The first update for FAFSA involves how the Department of Education calculates the amount of aid students will get. Under this new approach, 7.3 million students are expected to be eligible for Pell Grants. The department is also going to send personnel to lower resource colleges to do needs assessments and help schools with student aid offer packages. The third update is a faster approach for processing student records. Back here in Iowa, Cedar Rapids may soon ban ATVs from city streets. The council passed a first reading of an ordinance last night. The code would be changed to prohibit all ATVs, off-road vehicles, golf carts, and snowmobiles from operating on city streets and public property in the city. Snowmobiles that are allowed per Iowa State Code would be exempt, as would any equipment owned by certain public agencies or governmental groups. In 2022, the state legalized ATVs and UTVs, but allowed cities to regulate their use. At the meeting, city leaders asked about creating a ban in specific parts of the city instead of one for the entire city.
Were there areas of the city that you thought it could be possible and then it was just too complicated to actually implement, or what was the process of that?
Very much just the complication of trying to say this area you can use them, but not this area. These, picking a pocket of the city of itself.
The council also discussed increasing street parking from $1 an hour to $1.25 an hour, and parking violations now paid within 30 days would increase from $5 a penalty to $10 a penalty.